Welcome into the show. It is deadline day, the 2024 NFL trade deadline coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern today. So coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports, Chase Sr. here with you. We're going to discuss the latest Philadelphia Eagles trade buzz. And let's keep it moving. What do I mean by that? We are 182 people away from 90,000 subscribers. As you can see with the tally here to my right, 89,818 people worldwide are subscribed to this show. Today, your choice, your vote. Vote and subscribe to Eagles Now for the best Eagles coverage right here on YouTube. So on yesterday's show, last night, we talked about Bryce Huff. And I want to start there for those of you who may have not seen that show. His name is emerging as a trade candidate going into today's deadline after playing only 6 snaps, a season low against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tom Pelissero was on the Rich Eisen show. He works for the NFL Network, a very trusted NFL insider, and he had this to say. There is certainly going to be interest in guys like Bryce Huff, who is one of the Eagles' big free agent signings. He played only 6 snaps against Jacksonville, apparently after getting his hand banged up in warm-ups. That is a name that I think is going to get some potential action. And after the Eagles held on to beat the Jags and sent Doug Peterson back to Florida with an L, Jeff McLane passed this along. And as we know, Jeff McLane of the Philadelphia Inquirer very tapped into all of the happenings around the Eagles. And he pointed out how Huff only played 6 of 54 snaps. Nick Sirianni said after the game when he was asked and pressed about why Huff didn't play that much, that he had a hand thing after warm-ups, but on late crucial snaps, Bryce Huff was on the field. And McLane said it's fair to wonder if Huff is on the block ahead of Tuesday's deadline. Now, he said that before Tom Pelissero then said that, so clearly some insiders here are gathering some information that Huff could be on the move. As we know, pass rushers are a hot commodity for teams. All squads across the NFL at every single moment of the offseason, in-season, are trying to apply pressure on the quarterback. It is a backbone for teams having success. Philadelphia's been able to generate a consistent pass rush during this 4-game winning streak, and really they've done it with Huff not playing that well, not really contributing, although over his last couple of games, he started to play a little bit better. Huff in 2024. The Eagles gave him $34 million in guaranteed money during free agency. He was a big-ticket free agent acquisition for Philadelphia, but he hasn't lived up to the billing. And could they move off of him to get out of that contract? He has an overall Pro Football Focus grade of 61.3 this year, a pass rush grade of 59.1, run defense grade of 58.5. That's never been his strong suit. 11 pressures, 1.5 sacks on 132 pass rushing snaps. Clearly, after coming off a 10-sack campaign, he has not lived up to expectations. He has not been the player that Howie Roseman and this coaching staff anticipated he would be. As for his contract, he signed that big deal with Philadelphia, and you can see some of the dead money charges and cap savings. If the Eagles were to move on, they would definitely be admitting that that acquisition was a big flop. Speaking of edge rusher trades, we know that Super Bowl contenders are trying to get better because they're all chasing the Kansas City Chiefs. And how do you beat Kansas City? Getting a pass rush on Patrick Mahomes. How do you win big? Getting a pass rush in general. And after the Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson for the year with that broken leg, they are adding Zadarius Smith. You look at the value here, the Browns are receiving a 2025 fifth-round pick and a 2026 sixth-round pick. The Lions get Zadarius Smith and a 2026 seventh-round pick. This is a player who's a veteran in this league. He's been very consistent in being able to sack the quarterback. That's a good deadline acquisition for Detroit, who's clearly going all in, and right now they are the number 1 seed in the NFC. Vic Fangio said this on Monday about Philadelphia adding a defensive player. I don't think they need to add an offensive player. And what he had to say here on top of what he said last week is pretty interesting. It's hard to improve your team drastically this time of the year. I think if you look at some of those trades over the years, they really haven't had the effect that some teams were hoping for. unless it's a trade where you're getting a guy that you're going to have for a few years. So it's more of a bigger trade than swapping guys, trading a 6th or a 7th, those types of things. So Vic Fangio, pretty happy with where his defense is right now and the pieces that are a part of it. And I have a feeling that Bryce Huff signing was more of a Howie Roseman move, and Vic Fangio's like, I don't really like the player, and that's why I'm not really going to utilize him because I don't think he's frankly very good or at least a scheme fit. The big question today, will the Eagles make a deal? We know that Howie Roseman is very aggressive. T for trade, P for pass. Let me know down in the comment section right now. Plenty more to get to, but first, today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, sponsored by our friends at Game Time, the only app that I use in the ticketing marketplace. And obviously, it's a very crowded and competitive marketplace. But this is why I use the Game Time app. Best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. They specialize in last-minute tickets because prices drop as the event gets closer. Love the user interface because you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You can literally see the view from your seat before you purchase those tickets. Or if you're very particular about where you sit at a stadium, you can get the bird's eye view. Eagles-Cowboys coming up on Sunday in Week 10. No Dak Prescott for Dallas. Cooper Rush going to get the start. Philadelphia historically over the last couple of years has not played well at AT&T Stadium. Micah Parsons will come back for the Cowboys. And anytime the Eagles and Cowboys meet up, it's always a fun game to be a part of. So if you want to go to that game, if you're in Texas and you want to travel to see the Eagles play, their Super Bowl odds are starting to soar during this 4-game winning streak. Plenty of tickets available. Thanks to Game Time Picks, though, curation makes it very easy, to find tickets to sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. And you think about where the Eagles are right now, right? 4 wins in a row. They have found their identity. Offensively, they are very complimentary. During this 4-game winning streak, they're running the football at a 60% clip. Defensively, they started to find their groove. Vic Fangio's coaching his ass off. And the Eagles are looked at as a contender in the NFC and a contender to make it to New Orleans come February for the Super Bowl 59 to be precise. And we know what Howie Roseman's history is of making moves. That's why the Eagles across the league are looked at as one of the more interesting teams. Here's what Dan Graziano, ESPN NFL Insider, had to say about Philadelphia. The Chiefs and Lions, interesting due to their positions atop their respective conferences, but outside of that duo, the Eagles are always a team to watch when it's trading time, and they could still use some help on defense. The Commanders are in first place in the NFC East. To the surprise of many, would they look to add at receiver or cornerback? The Commanders, Steelers, Niners, Eagles, teams that could make moves to bolster their pursuit of the Chiefs or Lions, but right now, these are the clear top 2 teams, and each could get better by the end of the day. And Howie Roseman has at least attempted to make his teams better by making recent deadline trades. In 2017, pulled off a move for running back Jay Ajayi, who played a big role in that Eagles Super Bowl run and Super Bowl victory. The Eagles kind of went running back by committee that year with Jay Ajayi, Corey Clement, LeGarrette Blount, and they were able to run the ball very successfully, and Ajayi gave that team a good punch. In 2021, the Eagles were bad. That was that was Nick Sirianni's first year, and they traded away Zach Ertz. They traded away Joe Flacco, Robert Quinn. That move didn't work out, but the Eagles at least attempted to try to bolster up that pass rush. And then last year, another move that didn't really work out. That defense was just an unmitigated disaster. Kevin Byard was a move that Howie Roseman made to try to bulk up that safety position. So over the last few years, you have seen Howie Roseman make some moves for some of these players here in an attempt to at least make their team a little bit better any given year. As for some Eagles trade targets, I think these players are pretty realistic for Philadelphia, and they fit an area of need. Calais Campbell might be in his late 30s, but he's still playing really good football for the Miami Dolphins. He could play defensive tackle or defensive end. He could be a really good rotation piece. Chase Young is a player who was drafted number 2 back in 2020. He was excellent as a rookie. Year 2, he hurt his knee. He's never been able to find a groove after that, but from a physical specimen standpoint, he's a freak athlete. You have Kenyon Green of the Houston Texans if you want to bulk up some offensive line depth. Offensive line depth has been a little bit of an issue for Philadelphia, but Jordan Mailata is going to come back. You have Tyler Steen as a backup guard. You have Fred Johnson, who's played well as a backup tackle, so Philadelphia might not move there. Azeez Ojulari is a twitched-up edge rusher for the New York Giants, who are in a position where they're not going to make the playoffs. They're a joke. And then Kendrick Bourne is a wide receiver who Philadelphia could bring in as a depth wide receiver who's had some pretty good production throughout his respective career. My favorite player on this list is Azeez Ojulari. Azeez Ojulari is a player who can help you now and in the future. He's not going to cost you that much as far as base salary and cap hit in 2024, but he's only 24 years old. He's in the final year of his contract, and if you were to trade Bryce Huff away, and Vic Fangio likes Azeez Ojulari, who's kind of in that build of a Hassan Reddick or a Nolan Smith, 240 pounds, 6'3", quick first step, good bend, maybe not great against the run, although his PFF numbers against the run this year are a little bit better, has pedigree, a 2021 second-round pick, and I think this is a player who could help you in the future as well. And you look at his numbers in 2024, solid, not fantastic by any means. Overall PFF grade of 59.8, pass rush grade 57.5, run defense numbers have gone up 62.1, 5 sacks, 19 pressures, 141 pass rush snaps. Those 6 sacks, a lot of them coming over the last few weeks as Kayvon Thibodeau has been on injured reserve, and Ojulari has gotten more opportunities, and with that, he's been able to take advantage. So we'll see what Howie Roseman does going into today's 4 p.m. deadline on deadline day. A lot of key decisions will be made across America today. All 32 teams, of course, in the National Football League. Let's keep it moving. Another reminder, hit that subscribe button. 182 people away from 90,000 subs. Your choice, your vote for the best Eagles coverage right here on YouTube. Let your voices be heard.